Zone 3 Podcast. I'm Robert.
Yes, and I'm Reggie.
And we're here to thank you guys for an awesome 2020. It's been over 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
8 months into this. We started the first episode April, I think, something.
Yes, it's amazing. We appreciate all the support. 1,000 subscribers. That's big time for us. MRI can be a dry topic, too, so... we love
If we were a stock, you want to invest for sure. As far as the numbers so far, we've got a good following, and we appreciate that. Over 1,000 people, like I said, 8 months into it. We've got some high-profile guests. Thank you to all of them.
Yeah.
We hope to have reoccurring guests. So we hope to see you guys again in the future, those guests.
For sure. Big shout out to, of course, Kristen Arrington, right?
Without her, she's been a big mentor to us.
Yeah.
She's helped us a lot with,
connecting, too, with some people.
Networking with people for sure, coming up with different ideas on basically just really helped us along in the process. So thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, beautiful, smart, and helpful. Man.
And hilarious, too. So thank you, Kristen. And thank you. But I could say thank you a million times this episode. I'm going to try to stop doing that. But one way we wanted to kind of show our appreciation and stay engaged with our audience, because we've been giving a lot of feedback, different social media platforms. People have been reaching out to us individually. They've been emailing us online. We've been commenting on our episodes. And so we've been getting a lot of common questions from people, and we kind of wanted to maybe go over some of those questions as a good way to kind of for you guys to get to know us. So should we just start it off?
Yeah, let's get ready to rumble. Is that trademark? Go
on
YouTube, don't block us.
It's probably trademarked, and it indicates or implies that maybe you and I are about to fight.
Well, we do that on a daily basis anyway.
He's taller than me. He's got the range, so I just go low, and I'm really good about the fetal position. All right, how many years have we been doing MRI? Reggie, go ahead.
Yeah, so I did this math earlier, so I'm prepared this time. So I actually I went through the military to get my radiology education. So I actually didn't start doing MRI late into the game. So total years is about 8 years doing MRI. Graduated from my undergrad degree in 2012, I want to say. So 8 beautiful years. It's gone by fast. You know what they say? They say, time flies when you're having a good time.
It's been fun. I'm a minority. I like my job. Not like people can say that. So I actually love my job. And I've been doing my job. I've been doing MRI for, I want to say about 6 years or so. I started clinicals at the end of 2010, and my graduation date for radiography program was 11/11/11. I did x-ray for a bit. I thought he was going to go cath lab route. I did some hybrid stuff with runoffs and EVARs and atherectomies, and really enjoyed that. But at the end of the day, I chose MRI. Did you ever have any possible modalities?
Yeah, it was either leadership in X-ray or nuclear medicine. But I actually went because I was talking to my counselor before I signed up for the MRI program when I got back into school, and so she showed me these routes, and I went back home and I started looking up things like wages, job opportunities, things, what you're supposed to do before you kind of select a route when you're in school and all. And MRI stood out so much just because of how young the modality was and how much it grows every day. I feel like there's a new way of doing things, new research, it's always something new in MRI, and that just makes it so exciting. So I was so, plus the wage, you can't beat that, honestly. They pay us pretty well.
You meet a lot of people. You see a lot of cool things. And unlike nursing, if you don't like your patient, you only spend about 45 minutes with them.
Right, that's true.
But when you do like them, it's a good 45 minutes. But I'm just half kidding. But all right, so yeah, that's how long we've been doing MRI. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah.
How did Reggie and I meet? Reggie, how did we meet?
I'm still trying to figure this guy out. But I guess our official meeting was... about 2 years ago, I guess, when they brought Robert in, right, to work. We worked together in a facility out here in Arizona. But Robert, super creative guy, fun, witty, he had the great idea of starting a podcast. And he listens to podcasts all the time. He listens here and there, but I had just finished up a little boot camp on programming. So this is a coding boot camp, and he kind of came to me, and I had some free time since I wasn't doing that school stuff anymore. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. Let's at least try it. So we kind of dove in deep, looked up what we needed to do to kind of get it going. And we recorded our first episode in April this year. And it's kind of been off to the races since then. But it's been an adventure with this guy. And David, too. David came on board pretty much day one as well. So,
yeah, at the end of this little wrap up of 2020, I definitely want to show appreciation to the addition to our team this year, because we got two people. We'll talk about that, but
for sure.
When I saw this question, I went back to my journal because I remember the exact minute I met you, Reggie. I don't know. It was a couple of years ago, just over a couple of years ago. We met at work. I was new to the facility. He'd been there for years before. He's the neuro protocol tech. Right. So from day one, I was impressed. I knew that he had,
faked it till I made it.
At least he fooled me. I thought he's a really good tech, actually. So that's how we met. We met at work. So hopefully that answers your question. How did we meet? And where do we meet? Well, that's a good question. So where and what facility do we work? So we want to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because we're proud of where we work. Reggie, you want to take this?
All right. Yeah. So unfortunately, just kind of an agreement that we had with the place that we worked is we decided to keep names and that type of information out of affiliation with the podcast. And I think that's the best, decision for us as well. So we really prefer not to discuss our work situation. But we do work in Arizona, if that helps, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, and our studio is located in Old Town Scottsdale. If you've ever been to Arizona, I'm sure you spent some time in Old Town Scottsdale. Maybe shared some stories you don't want to share.
Right.
But yeah, that's where we're at in Old Town Scottsdale.
Right. Big shout out to our team at work, our leadership. We got great leadership there.
And they're really supportive of what we're doing.
Yeah, so supportive, and it's amazing. This whole year has been great.
Yeah, because Reggie and I still work 40 hours a week. So
yeah.
This is our just kind of a hobby that we do, this podcast. But it's turning into something with our following so far. So, all right. So that's how we met. That's where we work, or that's not where we work, but we can't tell you. What guests do we have booked for the future episodes of? We'll just talk about 2021 because that's really all we have planned for. But what I'll say is this: for 2021, so far we've got about 20 episodes planned.
Yeah.
With a guest for each one.
Right, and then some of the bigger ones right off the top of my head. We definitely want to do we're going to do a hybrid MRI, like an interop episode. And I think that one's going to be with neurosurgery, so that one's going to be really interesting. So we'll bring in someone from neurosurgery and kind of discuss, how MRI plays a role in interop. So when it comes to what cases that they're doing and, who qualifies for an interop MRI, how it benefits, things like that. So stay tuned to that. I think that's going to be a fun one. Had one?
Well, different. I mean, we got a prostate biopsy episode coming up with highly reputable radiologist who I don't know how we got lucky enough for him to agree to come join us, but he has. So we're excited about that one. Other ones too. Actually, I'm super excited. I'm an MMA fan, so we've got a professional athlete that's who we have booked.
Big time.
Yeah, I'm trying not to fan out. I will fan out. I'm going to ask at least one stupid question. But so again, we don't want to name names, but we do have that. For that episode, we have planned to discuss sports injuries, and we could have an MSK radiologist discuss that, like torn ligaments and whatnot. But we can also have a neuroradiologist to discuss concussions and just head trauma in general with MMA, and just kind of educate this younger generation who's getting into it because the popularity UFC is created.
Right. So that's going to be a fun episode for sure. Very interesting. I already got a couple of questions too, for sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good time.
What about that MRI Buzz? You can say.
Oh yeah! So big shout out to MRI Buzz. We're going to have an episode with them. If you're not a subscriber on their YouTube channel, MRI Buzz, go check them out. She really puts out some good content. So we're going to bring the host on MRI Buzz in, and we're just going to talk about, what are some of the great resources out there without plugging ourselves too much, of course, but the great, radiology and MRI resources out there for, from passing your registry to, understanding advanced topics, things like that. So, and we'll cover paid and free. So that'd be a good episode. Stay tuned for that one. I think that one's going to be fun. That should be closer to the beginning of the year. Continuing education, right?
That was another question we got. Do we have any plans for that?
So
Reggie?
So we're of course going to submit all our episodes for continuing education. Hopefully, most of them will get credits. So as soon as that goes live, you guys will let you know, and we'll have access to that from our website. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That is something that we're working on. So that's going to be huge next year, I feel like.
And I think that what we're bringing to the table is something super unique as far as like an opportunity to obtain those CEUs.
Right.
I get distracted by squirrels easily.
Right.
So to be able to get a CEU by simply watching a podcast, answering a few questions is super appealing to me, and hopefully it is to you guys as well. So look out for that. So live seminars. Do we have any plans for live seminars?
Yes. So we do want to do a live seminar, and so we don't know if we'll be able to pull it off this year or 2021 or not. We're pushing for 2021, but definitely 2022. We want to do a live seminar and bring in some of our guests and kind of do a nice kind of get together, like a what's the best way to put it? Radiology jam,
like a round table thing. And the problem with that though, and that's the reason we're hopeful for 2021, but we're realistic too. The problem is getting everybody's schedule together.
Logistics, right? Yeah. So stay tuned for that.
So if we can't get everybody scheduled together, we'd love to get it done sooner than later. I think it's a good opportunity for some of these big names to all sit down in the same room and answer some of these questions that a lot of people have. So we discussed live seminars, CEUs. Oh, and as far as episodes ideas, I did want to mention that I definitely want to do an episode on anesthesiology.
Oh yeah. It's a big one with MRI. A lot of claustrophobia people.
Anesthesia, I should say, but. And then I also want to do an episode with, to discuss MRI physics.
Oh, yeah. We got a great MR physicist that we're going to bring on. So
and
that's going to be a good one, too.
And especially for people who get an MRI, maybe practicing for the registry, I think that'll be really helpful.
Right. Because one of the biggest things that we constantly get requested for is, more educational material. And because of how dry the MRI physics can be, it's kind of hard to put that in a podcast format. So we did kind of brainstorm, came up with a couple of good ideas on how we could kind of do that. Because we will still kind of do a podcast with an MR physicist and, still talk about MR physics on our podcast. But I don't think that should be the main resource for how we would provide the education. So we decided to do a MRI animated series, kind of like similar to kind of like the Magic School Bus, how that education is kind of animated, but instead it's going to be MRI physics and MRI topics. So stay tuned for that. That's one of our big projects for next year that we'll be rolling out. So that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, Reggie's been working really hard on this animation. I'm super excited. He shows me previews of it every once in a while.
Just little sneak peeks.
Like you said, MRI information education can be kind of boring. It always has been.
Right.
But with Reggie's creativity and the use of this podcast, we hope to make it a little bit more fun.
Right. Yeah.
So he's got a few ideas with the animation. He's also talked about. Have you mentioned the Zone 3 Top 3?
Oh no, not yet. That's another fun one. So definitely we're gonna do a top 3 series, kind of just talking about radiology topics. For example, like top 3 reasons to be an MRI tech, or top 3 reasons this blank, fill in the blank, technology is going to change the radiology as a whole, right? So stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. Zone 3, top 3. That's going to be a good time. We got a lot of good stuff coming next year, man. I'm so glad that you guys are sticking around with us because it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, so obviously the point is this episode was to just thank our 1,000 subscribers that we've gotten to and everybody really who's ever watched one of our videos. Thank you for that. Ride along with us on this journey because we were excited about 2021. We've got a lot in the works.
Yeah, we're planning on being at RSNA this year. Hopefully we can.
I want to record a live episode.
Yeah, so stay tuned for
RSNA.
that.
That's a goal of mine. So might happen this upcoming year. Reggie and I both got it off.
Yeah, got our fingers crossed. Another shout out to our bosses.
So it depends on what the world looks like then.
Right.
If there'll be a remote one or not. But anyways, either way,
come see us.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting. But anyway, so thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you to All right, so actually, real quick before we wrap it up, I do want to mention Dave. He's our producer. He's been with us since day one.
Big shout out. Dave.
Thank you, David. David, can I say your last name? Probably not. I haven't ever said my last name. So.
You know, he spent a lot of hours sweating, learning a lot of new stuff, and just being out there and just helping us out.
And also with the creative input, too. He's a really creative person himself.
Dude's amazing.
And he's more comfortable in front of a camera, ironically, than us. So.
Right.
But he's a great asset to this team. So thank you, David.
Right. Yeah, we appreciate that.
And then Katie, who's also joined. So we're a true team now. We've got 4 of us. One away from a 5-on-5 challenge. So you and any of you other YouTubers out there.
Right.
But no, Katie's joined us as well. She's our manager. She's definitely a compliment to our childish behavior and
she keeps us in line.
personalities. She doesn't literally compliment us. But, we need that. So thank you, Katie. Thank you, David. And thank you to everybody who's supported us since day one. We appreciate your feedback, your engagement. Keep it coming.
All right, stay tuned.
We're excited about 2021.
Thanks, guys.
Zone 3 podcast. We're out.